For the past year now, I've been able to maintain a fairly lean body composition. So lean muscle mass, very low fat mass, or relatively low for the kind of lifestyle I have, where I'm pretty busy building my fitness business. And I just wanted to do this video to reflect on what I've been doing to maintain that shape, and also what I've not been doing that's led to me maintaining that result. Now, just to preface this, before I got into great shape last summer, I went down from 90 kilos, I think, at my peak when I had finished a 1.5 year bulking phase, down to about 76 kilos, right? And then that required me to do a 15 kilo fat loss phase. So that was about 30 pounds that I dropped, if you're, from the US. And yeah, that was quite a huge weight loss. It was very challenging because it did take me about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months by the time I had actually reached like a nice maintenance period with it. And then refed so that I was in good shape, where my muscles were nice and full. I was full of glycogen and back to being full of energy. So yeah, it took quite a long time. It was about a 2-year window of building up and then dieting back down. But for the most part, and for most guys in general, you can actually cut through a lot of that. I would say that I have the kind of genetics that make it actually quite difficult to build muscle mass, and then I also, on the flip side, kind of struggle to lose body fat. I have really bad genetics for this shit. Like my mother, her side, I tend to get a lot of the overweight side of things, and from my father, I tend to get a lot of the underweight side of the equation, right? So when it comes to building muscle mass, but I see with most of my clients that they can sidestep nearly that 1.5 years I spent of trying to get bigger. And then actually just go straight to the cutting phase. So here are the habits that basically I built during the cutting phase that I've pretty much just maintained all the way through to actually maintain that shape. So the first one obviously is caloric restriction. Well, I say obviously, but unfortunately this seems to be a never-ending battle between good and evil, where you have people saying all sorts of stupid shit that you need to, I don't know, eat 1 meal a day, eat carnivore, eat keto, cut carbohydrates, or intermittent fast, and that's the only way that you're going to incinerate body fat, which is just complete crock of shit. Those are all different ways of getting to a calorie deficit. It's an indirect method of controlling your caloric intake. It would be like in the financial industry if somebody said the only way to get rich was with stocks or bonds or with crypto or with real estate, and then you've countless examples of people who've done it through other methods, or you have people who maintain their wealth by having a diverse portfolio of all of them, right? Same kind of idea, right? If you want to have a lean body shape and one that you can maintain for the rest of your life, it's going to require an ecosystem of habits that lead in the direction of caloric restriction. So you need to burn less calories than you're consuming. Now, the other thing that I've been doing is I eat a relatively high protein and high fiber diet. So once that's taken care of, once I have the caloric restriction taken care of, I have a high fiber diet, I have high protein intake, that's usually going to lead to me eating mostly 80% whole foods, which have, a broad profile of micronutrients. And then the rest of my budget, I pretty much fill it however I want. Like right now, for example, I'm drinking probably my 5th coffee of the day that has sugar inside of it, right? Now, to most people that would seem like a very unhealthy way of eating, but I mean, I've been able to maintain that lean shape with those kind of habits all the time, because I just know that that's a quote-unquote bad habit that I want to facilitate in my life. I like my coffee with sugar. I like to have it regularly throughout the day, but then that means that I'm probably not going to have things like desserts, or I'm probably going to have to be a bit more careful about, how many calories I will have in something like a a cheap meal, like having a pizza or having burgers and fries, right? I'll take the diet drink, not the one containing sugar, because I'm already getting quite a hefty bit of sugar on a weekly basis through my coffee intake. But that's the trade-off I like to make. Some other people will, decide to not have coffee in their, not have sugar in their coffee, for example, and then they might have a big, massive meal later in the day, or they might have dessert on top of their evening meal. Whatever it is, whatever your vice is, you can budget it in accordingly. And that's the next tip I would give you, is to actually make sure you proactively budget it in accordingly. So once you have your daily caloric intake that you need to hit, once you have the protein intake that you need to hit, the next thing you want to be doing is to actually budgeting in the guilty pleasures that you actually want to keep in your lifestyle, the things that you think, I really don't want to give this up, but I think that I should. That's usually not necessary. If you look at any of the healthiest countries in the world when it comes to longevity, right? They're not doing intermittent fasting. They're not doing ancestral diets. They're not doing all these weird biohacking protocols. They're eating in moderation the foods that they like, which tend to be quite diverse in nature. If you look all around the world, if you go to Japan, it's going to be quite a lot of fish. It's going to be a lot of rice. If you go to Greece or to Italy, it will be a lot of flour, a lot of processed carbohydrates in, probably minimally processed, but homemade all the same. But it's not like they're going around cutting out carbs. They're not doing time-restricted eating. They're not doing any of this modern-day mumbo-jumbo that seems to be floating around the internet. So that's where I would say just remove a lot of the stress that you can actually make for yourself in your life when it comes to conflicting desire. I love how Naval Ravikant actually defines stress in that way. So if you have the desire to keep eating chocolate, for example, but you also have the desire to get into shape, well, make sure you preemptively budget in a daily portion of chocolate, for example, that fits within your daily caloric intake. So what are the other habits I've been doing? When it comes to exercise, I'm basically making sure that I get between 10 and about 15 sets per week on every major muscle group, right? So at the moment for me, I'm probably down towards 10 total sets per week. And sometimes that looks like 2 sets per exercise. 2 sets, 1 set. Let's imagine if I do that in my chest exercises and I'm following like a push-pull 4-day split, I might do 5 sets of chest on one push day, 5 sets of chest on the next push day. Similarly, if it's hamstrings, I might do 5 sets on the hamstrings on pull day 1, and then I might do 5 sets on hamstrings on pull day 2, right? So I'm not doing any crazy amount of volume because remember, to build muscle mass versus to maintain it while you lose or maintain body fat, those are 2 very different modalities of training. To build muscle mass in the first place, we're probably looking to get 15 to 20 sets per week per major muscle group. To maintain it requires far less effort, especially in the long run. And that's what I'd actually recommend for a lot of my clients who are high performers, who are short on time. I'm getting them to basically, whittle their training down to the absolute necessary amount of volume to maintain a healthy amount of lean muscle mass. And for guys who are actually genetically predisposed to building lean muscle mass anyway, but struggle to lose body fat, this is especially important because I want those clients lowering their cortisol levels. And to lower their cortisol, which is the stress hormone, I want their body recovering. So I want them sleeping well. I don't want them overtrained. Doing too much volume, particularly when you're underfeeding, will lead to under-recovery. That will lead to heightened cortisol levels. You won't sleep as well. And then that's just going to hinder your fat loss efforts, okay? So that's something that I'm not doing. I'm not doing excessive volume. I'm not staying up super late at night either. I'm limiting my screen time close to bed. to make sure I get a good at least 7 hours of sleep per night, of restful sleep, because that actually has a huge impact on whether or not you maintain lean muscle mass while you're in a weight loss phase. The other thing I'm not doing lately, which I used to do when I was in fat loss phases previously, when I was younger and I had more energy and I had less responsibilities and I wasn't building a business, is I'm not drinking. I just don't find the trade-off to be worth it. And I know that listening to this Irish accent, that might come as a bit of a surprise that there is an Irishman not drinking. It's like an Irishman without potatoes. But it actually is possible for us to survive without either of those. So I'm not drinking right now, and I'm actually really enjoying it because I feel consistently stimulated, consistently like I am working towards my goals. And it's just more supportive of where I'm at right now in my business. And it's definitely having a great effect on my fat loss results, because when you are in a fat loss phase and you're not recovering as well as when you're in a gaining phase or you're at maintenance, it's going to be very important for you to cut out all the factors that could impede recovery further. Alcohol will be one of them. Your muscle protein synthesis goes down the day after drinking. While you're drinking and while your body's trying to process the alcohol. Also, your testosterone goes down the day after. Your sleep quality is going to be impeded. Even if you find it helpful to get to sleep, it's not going to be as quite a deep, restful sleep as you would have without the alcohol. So that's something that I'm not doing. I'm also not doing excessive cardio. So my view on cardio is as follows. If you can get in a step count between 8,000 to 12,000 steps per day, there's actually no need to do any additional cardio on top of that. It's very much optional. If you do want to do cardio on top of that, I would say make it enjoyable. So it's something that maybe you're doing as a sport that you already enjoy. Maybe it's MMA, maybe it's one of the martial arts, maybe it's soccer, tennis, whatever your sport of choice is. I would align your cardio with that. But let's imagine you don't have a sport of choice, you're very busy. You can pick one of the following. So to either get in your 10,000 steps on average per day, so that's somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000, or you simply tack on 200 calories worth, and this is very much arbitrary because every brand of fitness equipment in the gym or every smartwatch will measure that slightly differently, but just bear with me. Just 200 calories to do at the end of your session, and you can perform that in whatever way you want. Maybe it's 25 minutes of low intensity cardio, maybe it's 30 minutes of walking on incline on a treadmill while you listen to a podcast, or maybe it's 15 minutes of really intense sprinting and walking circuits, right? You get to choose. I like to give my clients that kind of flexibility just to, play around with their energy levels to cater to that on a given day, on a given week. They might feel like knocking the cardio out in a time efficient way, or they might prefer to take the longer but more enjoyable path. And it's not going to make a difference either way to your fat loss results in the end. Cardio only makes a tiny fraction, about 5% of the total caloric expenditure that you do on a daily basis. The rest of your caloric expenditure is going to come from just supporting the normal function of your organs, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so like me waving my hands here, blinking, moving around a little bit in the chair, which I like to do. It's kind of like those sassy head movements, you know. That's going to burn the bulk of your calories, and also thermic effect of food, so the calories that you burn through digestion. So that'll be higher when you eat a high protein diet. It's also going to be higher when you have a high fiber diet. Those are the various do's and don'ts of getting into a lean shape and staying there, particularly if you are pressed for time, if you are a high performer, if your work, if your craft, if your creativity is actually your number one goal in life, then you need a training and nutrition plan that's going to be as simple as possible to implement and to maintain for the rest of your life. If you want to set up that ecosystem of fat loss habits that will also have you maintaining that result for life, you can head over to the link in the description where you can download the flexible fat loss framework that'll have you losing 10 kilos in just 12 weeks, and it'll set up that habit ecosystem where you can maintain the result for the rest of your life.